West Tigers, welcome in to another coach's report with Adel Hage coming in again on a Sunday evening up there in Queensland. We're 23 hours, no, a bit more than 24 hours after losing, unfortunately, to the Cowboys. A valiant comeback in the end, falls short for the Tigers. The boys are going to break it. Rob and Adel are going to break it all down again. And a big thank you to our sponsor of this show, so Gym Direct. If you're looking to get some fitness equipment, even they can set up literally an entire gym for you. They do schools, they do sporting teams, absolutely everything from your basic dumbbells and right up to your machines and all sorts of things. So if you want to coach yourself and get fitter and healthier, or you have a sporting club, or if you're a fitness trainer, you can get 10% off. Or for the punters out there looking to set up a home gym, if you go to westtigers.com.au, there's a link to the Gym Direct West Tigers Life landing page, and use the code when you check out WTLXGD5. I have put it on the button there. It is a little bit hard, but it's on the graphic here. It's in the description of this episode as well. If you forget that, it's on the easiest code to remember. But that's what it is. They get 5% off the fitness equipment at Gym Direct. And if you'll get 5% off, or if you are a fitness trainer, contact them, tell them we sent you, and you can get 10% off for your fitness business. So, all right. Welcome in, Mr. Bashara. I'll bring you in first. How are you feeling? We were at the Orange Grove Hotel last night watching the game. People can go back and watch our live stream of us absolutely losing our minds in the final. How many minutes was it? Was it the last 18 or so minutes that the Tigers really gave us some hope? And I think I said on the stream, I bet you we lose by 2. I was wrong. We lost by 4 as we started that comeback. But, Rob, a loss is a loss. But, yeah, how are you feeling with less of a loss, I guess, in the end?
Yeah, g'day, boys. It's a range of mixed emotions. I don't think it was a game we deserved to win. That said, very valiant comeback. We should have done more in the first 60 minutes. It was quite a brave effort when you consider we were down a man twice. So we lost, 20 minutes playing with 12 players. We also lost Alex Twal after 8 minutes. Royce Hunt got to put his clothes on and say he played for the Tigers and got 15 minutes in. And, I hear he was probably injured and that's why he couldn't come on. But we'll go into it further. I think he's one of the worst purchases we've made in the last 5 years. He's an absolute dud. And I'm happy to go to task with my mate Adel about it, who is all defender of West Tigers. But, mate, you basically had 15 players there trying to do 17 players' work. And it was a very brave effort. We lost. It felt like we lost twice because we'd lost after 60 minutes. And we just got teased again. And like I said, great comeback. Definitely some positives to take out of the game from certain individuals. But, yeah, it's just I wasn't looking forward to yesterday. I really hope the boys would find something and win. And the Cowboys aren't a good team. We saw that last night. Clearly when we were 13-on-13, we had the better of the game. But we will break it down with Adel, and I'm sure Adel and I are going to have a few clashes tonight, but it'll all be nice and friendly, and we'll agree to disagree on a lot of things.
Speaking of clashes, I can't believe you just said that about 130-kilo prop. But anyway, Adel, welcome in to, if Royce is listening, I love you, mate. Please don't take me on that word. Adel, thank you for coming in from up there again on a Sunday evening. Welcome.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, it's good to be here. I don't think Rob and I will clash too much. I'm sure he'll have things that I don't agree with, but we come from different angles on certain things, so that's okay. I'm sure he'll figure out. He'll figure out when I'm right and he's wrong.
On that note, I'm going to step away, leave you boys to it. And I'll see everyone else. I'll see you guys Wednesday night at the Orange Grove Hotel.
Thanks, Josh. Well, if it makes you feel any better, Adel, I get reminded every week that you know your stuff better than me. So all the comments that come through on the socials, they do come at me and being some crazy emotional supporter that, you know, is a little bit too erratic with his feelings about the game. But anyway, let's get into it, mate. We're going to go through the game.
Rob, before you start, is it okay if I just take a couple of minutes to talk about? I don't know if many West Tigers fans know, but it was not Saturday yesterday, but the Saturday before, our marquee NRLW player Sarah Togatuki lost her sister. So she passed away last week, and as someone that's sort of not in Sydney at the moment, it's been a tough time because obviously, you know, as a coach, you get close to the players. But Sulla was also a very close friend of mine, and I knew her sister well. She was someone that came to all our games, and you know, you sort of always were having conversations and got to meet her. So it was a really sad time. It's been a sad time for our club. I know we haven't seen much of it externally because the girls are sort of in pre-season at the moment, and Sulla's doing. Sulla's been in Origin camp, and the fact that she played the other night is huge. But you know, I just want to say, you know, our thoughts are with them. Her funeral's tomorrow, so I wish I could be in Sydney with them. But yeah, my thoughts are with all the girls, and Sulla in particular. Yeah, it's a tough loss to lose your best friend and your sister. So very sad, but yeah, just my heart's with them at the moment.
Well said, Adel, and obviously that goes for all of us at West Tigers Life, and I'm sure the whole West Tigers community. Actually, I read a very nice tribute about Sarah's sister only a couple of days ago, and I wasn't aware of all that prior to watching the women's last Origin game. So very tough time for her, and our condolences to the whole family. Righto, Adel. Let's get into it. There's plenty to talk about. You interrupt me whenever you feel like it in case I miss anything, and I'll just get your thoughts as I go. So just to skim through the first 10 minutes, I thought we went pretty well, like set for set with them. Buller made a nice break. Some of our first contact was still pretty poor, even though we were going set to set with them. And then obviously they kind of got a little bit of momentum. Everything changed from when, unfortunately, it looked like Jareen Buller had defused a bomb, but he ultimately never fully controlled it and lost the ball. And from that moment, they went on the attack, and it was a lot of Cowboys sort of territory. Like they really dominated for a fair bit. What did you think of all that first opening part of the game? Anyway, the first 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but and I've had a little bit of a brain freeze. Because I mean, I understand you're saying from the Jareem situation, but was the line break in the first half where Tito gets held back? Was that not before the first try? Was that the?
Correct. Yeah, that was the Toa break where he passed it inside to Ruva.
To me, that told a big picture of the start of the game, and I'm going to be very bitter tonight. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be really bitter because I watched the standard of what we were held to the other night, and then have watched every single game since. And I watch every game every week, but I made it a really big thing to watch the rest of the weekend. Mate, to me, that's the turning point. You know, Tito gets held back and gets grabbed, and I did slow it down on the clean vision, which I get to see, and he definitely gets grabbed before he gets the ball. So if you want to talk about the big picture of the game, and I know, you know, we'll break down our contact and our defense, and I'll have something to say about that in a sec. But that was the moment then and there where our game started to flow. We lose that decision, basically, which technically would have been a sin bin the other way, changes the whole perspective of the game. And then we go down to the other end, and you know, everybody else is going to have a different opinion. I know it's because Jerome, but like I said, I watched the rest of the weekend, and Jared Sutton looked for that. Jared Sutton wanted to put someone in the bin. He wanted to set the standard of saying, I'm going to give 3 6 to go calls. I thought one of them, Luai's hand was entangled in the tackle. Yeah, he did sort of not. He wasn't in a hurry to get it out. But if you watch the rest of the weekend, every time someone's got their hand in, the referee blows to the player to disconnect. John Bateman was agitating Luai on the play before. He was sort of linking his legs up. Mate, they found a reason to do it and they penalised it, which, if you look at the rest of the weekend, a couple of times people did 2 6 to go calls, got 2 6 to go calls, and then they kept slowing the ruck and the referee didn't penalise. So, mate, the start of the game to me is an indication of where we were going to be at for the rest of the game. I agree with you in regards to our first up contact, especially in that first 10 minutes, Rob. I thought it was poor. I thought if there's one thing I've learned without jumping too far ahead is we need to change in everything we're doing defensively in the club, especially around our contact work, especially around our wrestle work. We can see that our guys don't work well around their lever work and being able to control people in tackles very well.
Yeah, it felt like, given who the Cowboys were missing and given who we were missing, and obviously with them having 4 players backing up from Origin, 3 of whom were starters, it felt like whoever scored first was really going to have some ascendancy. So perhaps Taruva getting held back was a big decision there. I thought the Hunt thing was nothing really, and that came on the 4th tackle when he ruled the first 6 again. And really, Jerome only got nabbed once. Again, I don't think there was too much in it. The second one, he definitely stayed down on him, but it just seems like there's different rules for different people. That's the first time I've heard someone say 3 in a row, it's mandatory, and you've got to go. And generally, any team that sometimes we've seen 4 and 5 infringements in a row and nothing gets done about it, like surely you should get a warning on the run before this happens. I mean, if Jerome knew that the next 6 again was going to be a sin bin, he would never do it. And
no,
really,
on top of that, what's the difference? We had 4 ruck infringements the whole game. 3 of them were in that period where a sin bin happened. So we did 1 the rest of the game. My point being is I watched a lot of games today. I watched the Roosters do it. I watched the Warriors do it. They give away two ruck infringements. The next set, they don't give away a third one, but then the next set, they give away another 2. So what's worse, giving away 4 in 2 sets or 3 in 1 set?
Yeah,
so
look,
it makes no. Again, we're the whipping boys. Us and the Titans are the whipping boys. I feel sorry for the Titans. I watch their game. We're the whipping boys of the competition. It doesn't matter what happens to us. That's the key.
Yeah. Look, well, that really, that cost us quite a few points, Luai being in the sin bin. So basically from the kickoff, there was one tackle in particular. I can't remember who it was on, Adel, but it was really poor. We couldn't control the ruck. And it was Terrell May, Royce Hunt, and Jack Bird in a tackle. I can't remember who it was on. They got a really quick play the ball, and then they just went right through us, got down to about our quarter line, and then Tom Dearden does what he does and never passes the ball unless he has to. Made a break and turned it inside to, out of all people, John Bateman to go over for the first try. And he was quite happy about that. And I think we were all pissed off that John Bateman did something good for once.
Yeah, look, I'm really critical of our defence at the moment. I said to you privately today that I think we don't handle adversity really well. I almost think every time someone goes to the bin in our squad, it's sort of, the good teams, and it doesn't need to be like your I still say the Panthers or your Bulldogs or these sort of teams. I just think any half decent team, when you go down to 12, you see a rise in their intensity. Our boys don't. Our boys don't lift intensity. And to me, it's only Jerome. Jerome's the only one I look at, and I watch the game and I sort of see the external stuff going on in and around the play, especially when things go right or go wrong. He's the only one that brings some sort of chat and talk and intensity. The rest of them don't. The moment we went down to 12, Rob, it looked like the boys had an excuse to not work harder, especially early in the game. And that's the challenge for our coaching staff. And that's the sort of thing I look at and I start to question some of the players. I'm not sure if commitment's the word. I think that's a bit strong, but their want. their want for this, their want to actually succeed. We've gone through, and I know you said potentially Royce Hunt was injured, but he wasn't injured in the first 12, 13 minutes. I'm going to jump a little bit because I'm a little bit erratic tonight. I watched the podcast on the other day with Tim Grant, Fanua, and Terrell. I'm not sure if you watched it.
No, I haven't seen it.
Did you watch it, Rob?
No.
And Tim Grant, who's the club wellbeing officer, was interviewing them, and they made a joke about Royce Hunt. And I'll tell you, this is what's pissed me off. They made a joke about Royce Hunt being on the field, and Tim Grant, the wellbeing officer, says to the boys as a joke, he says, "How does it feel being on the field with Royce Hunt? Because you don't have oxygen, because he's sucking it all in." I get it's a joke, but after 12 rounds, and I think it's safe to say I've been the person that's allowed and sort of was encouraging everybody early in the year to say you can't judge off 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. But after 12 rounds into the year as a professional athlete, if you got to a stage where you can't even get 15 minutes out, quality 15 minutes as a front rower, Rob, question marks will start to be asked. And we've seen in preseason what we did in and around the standards and not meeting their obligations for players. Well, here's the next one. Here's the one where I sort of go, because to me, Royce Hunt can't play next week. Injured or not injured, he can't play. You've got to make a stance. Just because he's on a certain amount of money, 12 rounds is enough. Coming off a bye, I don't know what he did in the bye, but you come off a bye and you can't get 15 minutes out. And again, he might have been injured, but I don't think he was injured in the first minute or in the first 7 minutes where he was already blowing. Yeah, something's got to be done.
He only made one run for 8 meters, but he was probably blowing because he made 13 tackles. He doesn't normally do that sort of quantity of work. Look, explain to a normal fan like me, Adel. I can understand when teams concede tries being down a man. I can't understand that once you're down to 12 men, suddenly you can't tackle, you can't control the ruck speed, you can't make your tackle and get back to marker. It just seemed like it was men against boys for 5 or 10 minutes. And that's what concerned me with that 3-man tackle with May, Hunt, and before that happened, before the first try. I just think, I don't think that's any excuse.
We don't. No, I genuinely think they think it's an excuse. Watching their application to what they're doing when we were down to 12, it almost looked like either one, each individual was trying to solve the problem on their own, or two, we didn't lift our intensity as a group. Now, I agree with you with that, Rob. When you're down to 12, what becomes really important is winning tackle 1 and tackle 2 in every set of 6. Because if you give a team a roller, and don't forget, the other thing that happens is, as the team with 13, you find an extra little bit of energy because all of a sudden the spacing in the defensive line can grow a little bit. Cowboys have always been this sort of team. They're a little bit of flat track bullies, and they'll take advantage of it. They got guys like Drinkwater and who's the other one that plays for them? But they're not. They're just flat track bullies. They're good on the front foot. They play well when things aren't. They play well when things are going their way, or they've got a bit of an advantage. But that's why the Cowboys aren't a very good team, like you said, because they don't do well when they've sort of backs against the wall type thing.
Well, mate, that was they got to 8-0, and then straight on the back of that, they marched downfield. And you were just mentioning the spacing, Adel. This was the crazy part, just rewatching the game again today. So, as you're aware, Dearden gets a ball, does a cutout face ball to Purdue, who goes over and scores adjacent to the post. When I watch the replay, we've got 12 men on the field. If you're looking at it from behind the Tigers' try line, we have 9 players to the right of the right-hand goalpost. We had 3 players to the left of the right-hand goalpost. They were going to score, whether it was a face ball, it was a triple cutout, or just a simple backline movement. I don't understand when you've made a couple of tackles in a row and you're setting your line, how the spacing and the numbering up can be so poor. Is there any excuse for that, Adel? Is it just guys basically panicking in the moment of being under the pump and the Cowboys are on a roll, or is it poor coaching in general, or what is that, mate?
It's poor defensive system, because what happens is the boys get to the line and they just stop. So and they were tired. To me, it looked like some of those boys were tired. And basically what they did was they found the try line, they got to that spot. The one time you should be able to defend with 12 is the try line, because you've got one marker and your fullback's in the line. So with 12 men, that should be the easiest time to defend. What happened in that situation is, so what they decided to do was in defense, which was a good move. Uppy defended it, because what you want to do is you still want to keep your four edges connected. So you still want to have a back row, a half, centre winger defending on each edge. And where you take the extra man off is out of the middle and you just defend a little bit compressed. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to have a back row defending at the 3-man, which is the half position. So what they did was they pushed Uppy to play on the left, at the left 3-man, so the left half position to defend. So that's why he was outside Samuela. So good coaching, understanding, making sure our defensive structure was correct. The problem was we have guys looking for shortcuts. The play the ball was on the numbers. When I say the numbers, it's if you look at the field map, where they have the 10, 20, 30, then they have the 10 metre from the sideline and the 20 metre. It was in line with the numbers. So realistically, they only needed maybe two or three men on the short side, and then you should have been able to have 9 all the way to the sideline, the other side. They were all just sitting on top of each other. And to me, it was a shortcut. It looked like I'll just get to the line, pretend I'm defending, and hopefully someone else will solve a problem somewhere else in the game. The other part that I think would have played an impact on it is we were so shitting ourselves from Sutton that once they got down to our end again, we couldn't even, we were getting up really quickly because the last thing we wanted to do was concede more 6 to go. So I sort of feel sorry for the boys there, but like I said, that's why the standard was set early, and it's sort of, you're already on the back foot, and like Benji said, it was harsh. It was ridiculously harsh.
So, mate, we're at 14-0. We finally get a tiny bit of ball, and in the 20th minute, we get a penalty about, 25 to 30 metres out from the Cowboys line, right in front. Just to give a little bit of a background to this, Adel, because this to me reeks of no attention to detail. What I mean by this, sure, the players make decisions on the field, but I feel like in game situations, our players don't have certain procedures as what we do in this situation. So, for example, we're down by 6 with 5 minutes to go. This is what we need to do. Or we're down by 8 and we get a penalty out right in front. Do we go for goal? Do we go for the try? This sort of thing. So what I'm alluding to, so we get a penalty 20 metres out, right in front, 25 to 30 metres out. Luai has 1 minute and 30 seconds left in the sin bin. We're down a man. Straight away, I'm saying kick for goal, because for a couple of reasons. One, we've had 25% possession. It's going to be an easy kick. We get to 14-2. It's going to kill 90 seconds off the clock. And then they're going to go deep on the kickoff anyway. We're going to get the ball back, and Luai's back on the field 100% by then. Now, just for the sake of the argument, as it turns out, the Tigers want to go for a try. If you're going to go for a try, Adel, you have to kick the ball for touch, mate. You have to waste another 20 or 30 seconds and then have that attacking set start a little bit later, so Luai is going to come back on the field. I don't even think that's being smart in any way. I think it's the most Z-grade, basic, fundamental you have to do. I was so dirty on it at the time, and it might not seem like anything now, but had we got the goal and Dewey gets a conversion from the sideline at 32-28, we're talking 32 all. But forget the goal. You want to go for a try, go for the try, but kick for touch. Why are you taking a tap? And I think Adam's one of the smartest players, and it's not a knock on Adam, but we've discussed this before. Sometimes Adam gets tackled on the last tackle and he gives the ball up to the player who's got the turnover to his chest. Just leave the ball on the ground. Let him pick the ball up. Let your line get set. There's just some basic fundamentals, Adele, that are so simple, and it seems like it's being nitpicking, but they need to be done. The other teams do it. We're the only ones that don't do it, mate. Am I being hypercritical?
I would partially agree with you, and I'll talk about our lack of fight as a club soon. I would not take the two. Went back, had a look at it. I agree with what they did, and the fact that there was a minute to go, Rob, is even more reason why you don't take the two.
A
If
minute
there
and a
was
half.
8 minutes, yeah. If there was, mate, if it was anything over 5 minutes, okay, it's probably a little bit different. The fact that we didn't have much possession is even more reason why, to me, you take the tap or kick for touch. I get what you're saying about kicking for touch, but I think that's like minute. Okay, I don't think it's a big
But
deal.
mate,
What I will,
we talk about one percenters. That's a one
yeah,
percenter.
but that no,
That's a
it's not. No,
difference.
it's not. Not in my eyes.
Mate, you're
Not
giving
in my
your
eyes.
team a chance to get a rest. You might even have Luai back at the end of the tackle, at the end of the set of six.
Yeah, but you also might be in the right part of the field where you want to tap and you want to start your set from. The thing I will say around that is, and this is where I'll give him the pass, but you sort of can look at potentially Dewey, but he was playing actually he was playing in the half in attack there. Is Jerome wasn't on the field, and Jerome's our organizer, and obviously it's been Galvin before that, and you can't really ask Heath Mason in his first game to have known that. So you kind of give him a pass in that situation. If Jerome was on the field or down to 12 and he made a decision, well, yeah, you can be a little bit more critical on Jerome and around that. The thing I learned that set of six was our attack was horrible. And I know a lot of people are going to sit there and I'm sure it's going to start happening soon in the media as well. People are going to start criticising Luai. Go watch our attack the other night when Luai wasn't on the field. And in that particular set, and then watch the end of the game when Jerome actually takes control of our attack. And this is the thing that really annoyed me coming away from the game is it seems like, I said this early in the year, I've always believed as a coach, your team should be a reflection of you. And it feels like we're trying to play safe football until we don't have to. And then all of a sudden we've got points in us.
No, fair enough.
We scored 22 points in 18 minutes. Why can't we be a little bit more go after the game? And I'll talk about the lack of fight in the club a little bit later. But yeah, look, I partially agree with you on that, Rob. But I don't think, again, I get it, like hindsight. But you know what would have been even better than that? If we took the tap, we did everything we did, and we did it wrong, like you just said. But then we went on the attack and we scored. That would have been nice. It would have been a little bit of a boost and a momentum changer, but we didn't.
Yeah, see, again, I'm not criticising the decision on the night. In my opinion, that sort of stuff is done pre-season. That's a game situation.
Yes, and because 14-0 is different, Rob. If you're down 14-0 and you got a man in the bin, that's not the same as being. If we're down 6 or 8-0, I can get taking the two, but you're down.
It's 3 scores, brother. It's 3 scores.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Even your phone got the shits with you then.
No, that was Benji Marshall Karma then, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and I get it. I think I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, that one, like I agree with you. If it's 6-0, 8-0, you're sort of
what's
still
the difference
in the game.
What's the difference, bro? There's 60 minutes left.
No,
There's 60 minutes.
I understand that. But
like if it's 16-0, you kick for touch. 16-0, you kick for touch. A goal's not going to make a difference. But you at least give your guys to suck up some oxygen and be able to put a good set of 6 on the Cowboys line and go at them. Anyway, maybe that's just me. I don't know. Like I've seen other teams where people sort of shake their heads and say, "What are they doing?" I've seen Penrith being down, 8 points with 2.5 minutes left and getting a penalty and taking the 2 points. I don't even know if we'd have an idea of what we would do in that situation. We'd probably just go for the try. But there's probably been no pre-designed thought as to what to do.
We did it. The back end of last year, we were down by 8. We took the 2.
We did?
Yep.
Okay.
Last year,
you'll have to refresh my memory on. Yeah. Now let's talk about our first try. Let's talk about our first try, which was actually quite brilliant. But again, I kind of feel like if the Cowboys weren't offside and pressuring Jerome Luai, it never would have happened. They were basically in Luai's face, and Luai had to run the ball. He went down the short side, and I can't go through every player that touched the ball, but it basically went through 10 pairs of hands before the ball worked its way across to the right-hand side of the field for Stafford Toa to score. Absolutely brilliant try. Some really good decisions made during that try from Adam Dewey, from Api Coruscant. there was some real good subtleties from Charlie Staines. There were a few guys in there that really had some serious involvement, but it literally went through 10 pairs of different players' hands. Is there anything on that try you'd like to talk about?
No, it's good. Good off the cuff football. It shows our boys have got skill set. There was a classy pass. I don't know if you remember from Uppy where he actually dummies, goes around, passes it around the corner of the Cowboys player. That was the pass that sort of broke their defensive disjointedness apart. And then, we do a good job. But look, at the end of the day, all that work was great, but Stafford Toa's work was unbelievable. Like he is. Besides, you think of someone like Robert Toya. I think he's up there. I mean, I'm trying to think of all the centers in the competition. Yeah, Stafford Toa would have to be close to in the top 3 or 4 best centers with the ball one-on-one with his defender. Like, he's got the ability to beat people that not many other centers in the game have got. So, and again, like you watch that last couple of minutes, he didn't touch the ball at all. So that was a bit disappointing. But mate, he is an ace card that we've got at the moment, and that I'm pretty sure we're going to have for a long time, from what I'm hearing. I've heard he's re-signed, Rob. They've extended him.
Oh, that's good news. Look,
I didn't mean to say that out loud, but yeah, that's what I heard.
Okay, well that's good if we have re-signed him. Look, we used to get one attacking game a year like that out of Stafford Toa. It seems to be a pretty regular occurrence now. Every week he seems to be a big threat to the line. I'll talk to you about one of the Cowboys tries later that I just thought he made a decision to just, I'm beaten. But yes, defensively he's got a little bit of work to do, but certainly in attack he's absolutely brilliant. Just on the referees, so after that, Adel, after we were 14-6, we got our first restart for the whole game in the 28th minute. And if we fast forward to the 37th minute, Adam Dewey gets sin-binned. I don't know what I'm supposed to think of this one, Adel. Like, if I'm completely objective, at worst it's just a penalty. And correct me if I'm wrong. Before, I think it was Dearden that kicked the ball. Before Dearden kicks it, I think we're all surprised Dearden kicked it. We thought there was some backline shape coming to the right-hand side of the field. And before he kicks it, Adam is already starting to move towards Bateman. So
he's covering.
What's he supposed to line? So what's he supposed to do? Like, just hit the airbags and hit it in reverse and get out of his way? Like, you play it in slow motion and it looks like he's deliberately taken him out, but all he's done is turn around. And in my opinion, John Bateman's knocked him over. John Bateman absolutely went for the BAFTA awards on a couple of occasions last night.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that, I still think Adam, it's a penalty. It's 100% a penalty. I agree with that. I say, no, it's a penalty because, he can't get out of his way, but you've interrupted him. The same way the laybutt one on Taruva is a penalty. Like, it's the same situation. Like, yeah, I know you're going to go for the ball. I know you've got to turn Dewey. I know, laybutt, you're going for the ball, but you've gone to the ball. You've got there early and you've impeded the defender. It's the same thing with the Dewey Bateman one. Yeah, I know you're trying to defend. You've turned, and you can't turn on a dime. You've got to actually turn. You've got to keep your momentum and turn. But you've interfered with him, so it's a penalty. It's the same thing, but we don't get it. We don't get it one way or the other. It's ridiculous. It's just
we will get to the laybutt getting in the way of Tito shortly. I think just the icing on the cake with the sin bin, Adel, is they take the tap. Cohen Hess gets the ball, gets tackled by 3 players and drops the ball. No one in North Queensland saw that. Like, no sideline, no touch judge, no referee, no bunker, just gets up, plays the ball. All right, let's just move on a little bit. So we actually make a really nice break. Mason did some really quality things in attack. He had a couple of offloads, a couple of line breaks, but he put I wouldn't say it was a great ball. It was a little bit low to Tony Suka, who did an unbelievable job to pick it up. But he goes down the sideline. There's just over a minute left. It's only the 4th tackle, Adel, take the tackle, kid. You know, don't be doing Benji Marshall
Well,
flick passes. 14-6 would have been all right. 14-6 would have been all right.
Yeah, I get that, Rob. I get that. But, you know, it's funny, right? We are very good as fans to look at things in hindsight, because we know what people would have said is, oh, if he passes to Taruva, he's unmarked. And I've heard it being said a lot. But what you want, I'm actually glad someone like Tony Suka tried to flick pass it. I want to see confidence from a kid that's coming through. Like, I get it's take the tackle. Well, no, we want to be a confident team. We want to be a team to go after the game. I get there's low percentage, high percentage. We've just had a 40 minutes where we've literally had nothing go our way. And you know what? I know on the back of it we conceded a try, but the last thing you want the players to have is fear, and he had no fear in that moment to look for the pass. And it's half a grip away from being straight into River's hands, and we probably score because he had more support coming. So it's a little bit of a chance, but I don't mind it if again, if I'm his coach, I sort of say to him, mate, you know what? Were you confident in it, or were you desperate to throw the pass? I'm hearing it. I want to hear his reaction. Oh, I just no, I thought I had a good grip, and I thought I had the pass. I just didn't execute it. Oh, mate, execute it next time. If his reaction is, yeah, I just thought I'll just throw it out the back. Well, no, don't think. If you're confident, pass it. If you're not confident, take the tackle. So a lot of that's where the coaching comes in of, the conversation then around that play. That's where you watch it on video. But if he had confidence and he's seen the pass and he had good grip on the ball, and there was an opportunity to offload and he just didn't execute it well, what you want to do is you want to encourage it so the next time it comes and we get in that situation, he's got the same confidence to do it, to pass it, hopefully execute it better, and we might score. And the difference is where we go to the halftime playing the first half with pretty much 12 men for what would have been over 30% of it, and we would have been down by 2 or 4 worst case scenario. So to me, I don't take the fear away from Suka, who's playing his third or fourth first grade game, maybe fifth or sixth. Barely hasn't started before. So no, I'm keeping the confidence in him.
Okay, I accept your point, Adel, but you can also score off the next tackle. You can catch a player offside and get to 14-8. You can actually get a sin bin from someone doing a professional foul. I don't think Tony Suka's body was in a position to be able to do that. Like, his body was almost contorted. Anyway, like you said, I accept the fact that you're encouraging the confidence. And you're right, it's easy to be Captain Hindsight, but I'm Captain Hindsight in this situation because I see ill discipline so many times. And prior to, this year we've actually been pretty good in general within 5 minutes of half time, but prior to this season, mate, we are the kings of conceding points and making dumb errors and not respecting the ball, respecting the scoreboard, respecting the situation. But look, anyway, that's a forward pass, flick pass. And then Scott Drinkwater scores from the scrum. This, in my opinion, Adele, I want your thoughts on this. This is probably Charlie Staines' only bad moment for the game. I know that it looks like the overlap's created, but if you watch that again, just at normal speed, not even in slow motion, you can see Jackson Polo dropping inside. As soon as he sees that, Charlie's just got a cream Drinkwater. He just kept backing off, and what was Charlie going to do? Back off and mark the touch judge? Like, Charlie's just got to go in and jam him. Obviously, Luai doesn't have the speed to go with Drinkwater. And that literally broke our hearts because, as you said, if Suka does pull off that flick pass, we're 14-10 with a conversion attempt to come, and now we're down, 20 to, was it 18 or 20 to 6 at half time? It was a 12-point turnaround effectively. And the Cowboys did score at least 3 times on the back of us looking like we're about to score. So it actually compounded all that and actually made the Cowboys look a lot better than they really were.
Yeah, look, that moment, there was quite a few things I was disappointed with, but you know what that moment was? That's a show, and this is where I talk about our defensive staff and our defensive coaching structure needs to be blown up. That's the moment there where, to me, shows the lack of understanding from our coaching staff in regards to our defensive principles, because Charlie Staines turns his shoulder out, is literally sinking out 80 metres out from his own line and allowing someone to get on the outside with not even being able to put presence on him. Now, go and watch every other team and see their wingers in that situation. What their wingers do is they keep their body squared, directly squared, try line, and they may back off, but they still back off square so that both shoulders are available to tackle. Charlie Staines wasn't. Charlie Staines had turned out completely, and he just let him run straight past him. It's pathetic. I'm going to say it. It's absolutely pathetic.
But okay, you're saying that the coaching staff might have a lack of understanding there, Adel. I got to say, in my opinion, I don't think it's lack of understanding. I just think it's lack of hard work, lack of repetition, lack of defending, like having scrum ribs at you.
You can't say that, Rob, because you don't know if it's lack of hard work.
No, I don't know that, but I mean, I can only judge it by game day.
Bulldog, yeah, but it's like Bulldog Richie saying, Benji's not a good coach because he went to Fiji. It's the same thing. This is the problem with when we have these opinions around what. This is why I don't judge the coaching staff. Okay, I can only judge by the systems I watch and what they implement, but I can't judge what they do at training because I don't know. And I guess we all have an opinion, and we're allowed to have an opinion, and as fans, it's what we do. But I will always argue back. Well, you can't have. There's certain opinions you can have, but you could never know if you're right or wrong because you're not there. Like you don't know 100%. What they do at training.
Of course, we don't
actually know.
No, but we can only judge what we see on the field, Adel. We can only judge what we see on the field.
I agree with you. I think we're entitled as fans after the years we've had, and we're our club's in a different position to every other club because of what our history's been over the last. I know there's 10 years, but we've had 3 wooden spoons. So our threshold to this is a little bit more. It's not as big as everybody else's, but. Yeah, there's just too many parts of our defence that tells me we need change around that part of the ball. And I'm not defending Benji because at the end of the day, from what I understand, he signed off on everybody at the end of last year. When Richo finished last year, there was only one member of the coaching staff that got changed. Benji signed off on that. Everything else he signed off on. So I'm not saying that Benji's immune from that. It was his choice to keep John Morris as his defence coach. I know who does the wrestle work. A lot of people got raps on the guy, but you can, again, like what you say, you can only see the results show for themselves. And on that point, Rob, and this is gonna stab us a little bit. It's gonna hurt. The video that came out the other day of Galvin at Bulldogs training, the one from in behind the fence. Do you know what they were doing?
Who released that, by the way? Go ahead.
They were teaching Galvin their defensive system. If you watch it properly, obviously, I'm guessing the Bulldogs have asked Adel Hage and Curran, I think was the other bloke to come in. They were teaching him their defensive system, which is the Penrith defensive system, which is a lot of what I was just talking about being square. And you can tell that this is the thing you need to learn really, really quickly that they were doing. That's the detail they put in. But yeah, it was a bit ironic to me remembering that.
Fair enough. Well, at least you've got proof that Canterbury do that sort of stuff, Adel. Mate, let's get on to the second half. Anything you want to touch on the first half that I've skipped or missed, or any points you'd like to point out?
No.
Happy with the refereeing?
Never.
Mate, 41st minute.
I'll talk. As I said, I'll talk about that when we're done reviewing the game. I'll talk about that.
Okay. Well, in the 41st minute, Nanai scores a try off a bomb. You made a really good point to me, Adel, which I'm happy for you to go into. A couple of plays earlier, before the bomb was put up, that ridiculous play the ball from Cohen Hess that probably should have been a scrum feed to us. But anyway, there's always points in the game you can pick on. But I think now, Adel, we've found a new way to get players off the bomb, and that's if you're Zach Labour, you can turn around and just back into the catcher and pray to Allah and knock the bloke out of the way, and you're fine. But the reality is, it's not just the referee, it's the bunker. Like the bunkers ruled that and said that's okay. So are we going to see that with every other team? I highly doubt it. But
hang on, are you surprised? The bunker was Ashley Klein, Rob. Like, I have zero doubt Ashley Klein despises us. I have zero doubt. The facts speak for themselves. I really don't want to go into this because I'm going to at the end and I don't want to jump early, but we need to
We'll
show
say
some
that.
fight. Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, it's a
Let's get into
penalty
it at
every
the
day
end
of
if
the
you
week.
want to.
It's a
Yeah,
penalty every
because
day of
I
the
mean,
week. Yes, he was. He playing just because you're play. If you, it's like being a attacking player. Yeah, you're looking to catch the ball, but if you run into somebody and you bump them over, it's still a penalty. Yeah, you might have done it intentionally, but if you interfere with a player, it's a penalty. It cannot be any more clearer. Like I don't understand what they were trying to achieve from it. We seen it in our game a few weeks ago where they said the guy got there early, and they said, yeah, he contested the ball, but he jumped too early. That's the same as Laybutter. He got there too. He got to the landing spot too early and interfered with Taruva. Simple.
yeah, look, I think you and I have watched a lot of footy in our lifetimes, Adele, and we could probably safely say that 95% of play the balls, and I'm being conservative here, 95% of play the balls, the defending markers are never square. Ashley Klein, you go back 10 years ago or so, mate, he pinged Luke Brooks for being not square at marker in Golden Point at Campbelltown. Like, you know, he absolutely has it in for us. Mate, let's move on. 46th minute, Jackson Polo scores to make it 26-6. This was the one I was talking about, Adele, where, look, I know he was beaten, but it just looked like Tara had made a decision like, I can't be stuff chasing this. I don't know. How did that whole, I mean, I know they stripped us of numbers, but how did that whole try look to you?
Well, before you even go there, Rob, it's a black and white rule. It's a no try for obstruction because their lead runner hits the outside shoulder of Heath Mason and the attacker comes back and takes that advantage in that gap. If he scores in the corner, it's a try. But Polo steps back into the gap that's created by the back rower running the line on the outside shoulder of Heath Mason. These are black and white. These are happening all year round. They let it go now if it goes to the outside, which is fair enough, whatever. But when the attacker runs back into that space, it's a clear no try. I don't, you know what? I'll be honest with you, I didn't pay attention to Tara because in my eyes, I watched that and I went, it's just no try.
So do you think our club will actually even mention anything by going through the proper channels? I know you want to talk about it later, but
like I said, I will unload on that later.
Okay, all right. Let's jump a little bit more forward. 57th minute, we have a Dearden try off a Purdue break. Again, this is just we're on the line. A little bit of miscommunication. I think Appy's a dummy half under the goalposts, wanting Sione Fainu to run a short ball, like to run a short line, and the ball goes to ground, and they kind of make their way upfield before Purdue ends up getting a ball from Dearden, who streaks away and scores another try off when we look like we're about to score, Adele. The 12-point turnarounds in this game were huge. Your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, like I said to you, we don't handle adversity well. We're not very good in transition. It's the part of the game that needs to be better. And again, that's on our defence. That's on our defensive people responsible with our defensive stuff. And yeah, every time we go into transition D or someone makes a break, mate, we are so poor in that. Like the lack of effort of some of the players, I sort of sit there and I go, how do you accept this? Like, surely they are getting called out. Surely they are getting told. Which you know what? I actually know they are because Chris Heinington's job is he's our effort coach, and I know how big he is on it personally. So I know how filthy he would be at some of the effort plays on transition in particular, to the extent, Rob, where they give away every week. I don't know if you've seen this in some stuff at the club. They've got a green jacket, which you know what that means, right? They've got a green jacket that they give away every week to the effort player of the week. That's how much they have such a big thing on effort, and some of the lack of effort is so poor in those moments.
Let me digress for 1 second, Adele. Now that you've mentioned that, let me put you on the spot. Given that you've watched the game twice now, who would get the green jacket from our team, from what you saw?
Every week it's Jareen Buller.
Okay.
Jareen Buller is out. Jareen Buller. We'll summarise some stuff at the end of the game.
Okay, sure. All right. So look, at that stage, mate, it was 32-6 with 23 minutes left. I know on the live feed, I was just, mate, I was devastated. I'm like, this club should fold. They're going to get 50. I was just so negative. I just hated the world. I just wanted to walk out of the OG, but I didn't want to be rude by Josh and the boys were there. And then, mate, we get to the last 17 or 18 minutes. And if you watch the last 17 or 18 minutes, you think, where was this for 63 minutes? Started in the 63rd minute with a Toa try. I think Jerome threw a pretty poor pass. It was a loose ball. Jareen picked it up, did a bit of a pirouette, got it out to Stafford Toa. And Stafford Toa had a lot of work to do, but he did it and scored in the corner. And Adam nailed a conversion from the sideline to make it 32-12. Again, Adel, it just seemed to be the brilliance of Stafford Toa again.
Yeah, it was. It was absolutely the brilliance of Stafford Toa, but it was also, for me, Rob, it was a period there from the moment the Dearden try was scored. I think the Cowboys only had one set. So we started to get a few things. The moment the game got equal share of possession and allowed us to get a bit of momentum, and the referee actually let us play football. Actually, no, let me not say it that way. The referee decided to stay out of the game. He didn't even give us anything. He just decided to stay out of the game because he actually forgets the ruck infringements and the 6 to go to the back end of the game. But once he actually stayed out of the game, you know what happened? We got to actually play some football. And yeah, that was an individual piece of brilliance. But then this is the thing with confidence, right? It built confidence in us.
Well, look, we know it's 32-12. There's basically 16 minutes to go after the conversion's kicked. Finally, the team realises we need another 4 quick tries. And from the kickoff, we shift the ball straight away. I think Jerome gets it shifting out to the right, goes through a few pairs of hands, and might have been Terrell May who puts it to Heath Mason. He goes through a gap, and there was some really good work. We were never going to score a try there, but I think he ends up, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he finds perhaps Toa, who then finds Jareen Buller. Taruva to Buller. Oh yeah, there was actually both of them. And then yeah, Jareen Buller gets the ball, and I got to be honest, Adel, Jareen did an incredible job to catch the ball because the guy was basically on top of him as he caught it. He could have easily lost the ball, and then from there, a little bit of sideways movement left and right, and Heath Mason uses his footwork and scores adjacent to the post. We kick the goal on 32-18, and you think, you're going to tease us again, aren't you, boys? It's just you just know, like we're lightning sort of struck. There's plenty of time left on the clock. I said at the time, we've actually got time to hit the lead and lose this game. Yeah, look, just really enterprising play from the kickoff, and a great job from certainly with the ball. Heath Mason was very, very good, very, very good with the ball. If anything, I just want to see him rove around the ruck a bit more and be sniffing off Terrell May and these guys that can. I mean, I know obviously Terrell May didn't have an offload last night, but if we can promote some second phase, I think that's what would be Heath Mason's strength, because he's got that speed, he's got the step, he can carve players up. He's a bit like a West Tigers version of Jai Gray. That's the sort of player I kind of like him to in terms of his short and stature, running ability. But mate, you want to talk us through anything about that try, whether it's from the kickoff or the finishing touches?
Well, no. Look, for me, I might even cut this all, Rob. I think the last 3 tries were us just playing, and I am going to jump all 3 of them. It was us playing with no pressure. It's the pressure off. It's the understanding that we can just play our footy here. We can move the football. The fear got taken out because, we got beat by 60 against the Storm. So the fear was taken away. And I think there was a little bit of, the boys could breathe. And I'm not saying that they weren't allowed to breathe, but I think in their own minds that they just felt like they could breathe. that's what that last little bit looked like. To your point about Heath Mason needs to become our Connor Watson. That's who I think he should be for us, not the Jai Gray. I think he's bigger than Jai Gray. Heath Watson's a pretty solid young man. You got to remember, he grew up playing in the half, so he's got all the skills of a half. I think he's strong enough, tough enough, and he'll get bigger and tougher to become, be able to play 9 and be able to do all of this. So to me, he's the perfect person where you start and you go, that's our project of moving forward. He's our 14. He's the guy that can fill in at all these different spots. Touch wood, he hasn't had any injuries, so he'll build his career and he will be a staple in our team for a long time. And I know this for a fact, Rob. He wants to do that. That's the role he wants to play. That's the role his management wanting to play. So I think that's what we found at the very least. We found the guy that can sit on the bench for us, cover all our positions. And in weeks like this, so if Latu and Jerome are playing and 1 week one of them's out, well, Heath Mason comes in. If there's no fullback, Heath Mason comes in. If there's no centre, Heath Mason comes in. It's the Connor Watson role. In a game, you don't have to put it back on the bench if you don't want to. But he can cover all those positions for you. He can come on and play hooker for a little bit in the game. So that's what I think the Heath Mason vision I've seen off the back of that game, which I think to me is a positive for us.
Oh, look, obviously there was a really good try to Charlie Staines with some good ball movement, and Jareen finished off doing the things Jareen does. A couple of things I do want to point out from that sort of golden period that we had in the game. We were quite unlucky. I think it might have been 32-24 when we were working the ball back from the kickoff. We were a couple of tackles in, and Heath Mason puts on a really nice play, bit of a show and go, pops out the other side and releases the ball to Appy Coruscant. That was a little bit low and a little bit behind Appy. I felt like at that time, if Appy can hang on to that, and I don't know if anyone was backing up or who was steaming through or whatever, but I felt like if we could score from that set and have 8 or 9 minutes of trying to win the game as opposed to 3 or 4 when we eventually got it back to 32-28, could have made a difference. And then further to that, Adel, when Appy does knock the ball on, Cowboys next set, Bateman loses the ball. Okay, and we want to challenge, and I don't know, West Tigers, you're not allowed to challenge. I'm sure there's a legitimate rule as to why we're not allowed to challenge, probably because Sutton decided I'm not penalising it as a strip, I'm penalising you as interference in the ruck or whatever the case may be.
It wasn't Sutton. It wasn't Sutton. If you go back
and
listen to the comms,
I haven't listened to it, mate.
It was Ashley Klein telling him they can't challenge, because then Sutton goes back to him and says, "No, I've ruled a hand in the ruck," and then he goes back and then so as in he's telling him no, they can challenge, because he turned around and said, "Do you want to challenge?" So it would have been coming from the ear. They can't challenge this. Like, that's where I sit there and go, hang on a sec, stay out of the game, Ashley. It's not your job to tell him what he can and can't challenge. Just like today when the Roosters are playing and Owen Paddy kicks the ball out of dummy half and it's 30 metres in the air, he's yelling out to James Tedesco inside the 40. Or when Daniel Tupou is not tackled, he's telling him play on to get up and run. You need to stay out of the game, Ashley. That's what he needs to do.
Exactly right. Exactly right. There are some very weird moments in a lot of games today, not just ours. But anyway, I thought that was crucial. We stood that, and look, I guess everyone's saying, why didn't we put a bomb up on the last tackle, which I think we should have. But again, it's easy in hindsight. But I think our number one leaper is Jareem Buller, and if you go back to the last tackle of the game, well, prior to that, May had offloaded to Jareem Buller, and Jareem had actually taken the tackle. So, because I think if you're going back to 3 minutes left in the game, Drinkwater almost knocks the ball on from a kind of miscued Dewey kick. Would you think it was a knock on, or he's used the ground? I thought, look, I can handle him calling that a catch.
Well, I can as well, but you know what? This is the skeptical part of what we do, and this is where I hate our lack of fight. What do you think he would have ruled the other way?
Oh, well, look, we discussed it today, Adele. I sent you a text message for the Josh Addo-Carr try today against Parramatta. I don't know why no one in the world hasn't said, as he's stretching out, he loses grip of the ball and his hands on top of it on the way down. He never re-grips the ball in that spectacular try in the left-hand corner. But when I asked you about that, you said if he was wearing, black, white, and orange, it would have been no try. But no one has said a word about it. And again, I'm actually at the point now, Adele, where I just think I don't know the rules. I know they change a lot, but to me,
I know.
I know it's not West Tigers talk, but he loses a grip and it's awarded a try. I don't get it.
I'll tell you what it is. The interpretation of the rules, there's always interpretations for the referees. They find the perfect interpretation to justify against us. And I'll say this, I think the Titans cop it as well. And if you look at these two teams, who are these two teams? The teams with no success. The Warriors cop it quite a bit as well. I'll say that. I think the Warriors cop it quite a bit. Again, teams who don't have relevancy, don't have power, don't have, Todd Payton's the one that, remember Todd Payton he got criticised. He used to always say it. The lower ranked teams.
Yeah.
He's right. But in this case, they got the win.
Well, he seems to be getting the rub of the green since he went on a bit of a barrage a month or so ago, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So there might be a lesson in that for our beloved West Tigers. Okay, well, Adele, do you want to talk about anything about the game before we touch on some of the players?
No, I don't want to touch. You know what, Rob? I want to say this. We have such a lack of fight in our club. Lack of fight. And I haven't seen or spoke to Benji in a long time. I hated watching his press conference last night because it felt like he was in robot mode.
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it.
It feels like he's in robot mode at the moment and he's not being himself. Like the only time I've seen him really genuinely be himself is when the Galvin stuff happened and he did the press conference. Like, we get it. As a coach, you're always proud of the players because they play 80 minutes. But have a crack. Have a red hot crack. You know the $180,000 we just got made out of the Galvin thing? Richo, I'm spending it. It's time for us to earn respect. No, it's time for us it's time for us to earn some respect, Rob. And you know what? We have never ever. And you know what? Let me say this. Don't forget, I've been at the club. I've listened. I've watched. I know what. Richo come out at the start of the year kissing referees' asses. You want me to say it bluntly? I don't care anymore. He was talking about referees and he loves referees. And no coach under his guidance will ever talk bad about referees. Okay, cool. We won't talk bad. We're just getting whipped every week. Every effing week we get whipped. Every week. You said it. When a coach comes out and puts pressure on referees, do you know what happens? Somehow the next week they get calls. Yeah. We don't. We sort of sit there and go, we'll control what we can control. There's something, mate. Guess what? Like, if I was talking to Benji, I'm like, guess what, Benj? We played the game in 60 minutes. The game was being played between two teams where it was 13 on 13. We scored 28 points to their 6. So the part we could control. So let's actually concentrate on the stuff we don't control. And let's figure out what is happening in that situation. What is happening? Like, did you see Uppy get put on report?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I did see that. What a joke.
So that means Ashley Klein has gone back, found that, and come back and put him on report. That's what that means. Ashley Klein has actually gone with a toothbrush and gone, Jared, put him on report.
He's already on report. He's on report for a late hit as well.
No. He was never on report for that. He was on report for the hip drop.
Okay. Wasn't he on report in the first half?
No.
When Luai got sin bin?
Fox showed that. Fox came back later on and showed what he was actually on report for. That's what they did.
Oh,
which was the hip drop. Okay? This is the ridiculousness of what we're copying at the moment. We have no fight as a club, mate. I promise you. And it's no better at NRLW level. We don't fight. We don't argue. We don't push the button. We've got no balls about us as a club at all. Mate, I was a nobody sitting at that club, and I used to sit there and go, "But you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what the difference between," and I'm going to be a little bit passionate about myself here for a sec. The difference was I was at the club, Rob, and I'm sitting here with you. I love the club. We have got too many people at the club that don't love the club, including our new CEO. He doesn't love the club. It's a job for him. He's getting paid over $1 million. I think he's the highest paid CEO in the game, from what I understand. I don't care that I'm having a crack at him now, because our fans deserve better. They deserve better than the lip service they've got over the last 12 months. Is he better than our previous administration? 100% he is. But at the end of the day, what are you delivering us?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you can't talk a big game and then get to this situation and just be soft with it. Like, deliver us something. Come out, talk, be stronger. You know, if it's true that all we wanted to do was release Galvin to get the court case or the legal proceedings stood down, Rob, that's soft. We've released him to a club who's going through a landmark case and has said, no, we will back ourselves and we are tough. We will stand tall on it. And I'll be honest, like you and I, you know that I disagree with you about the whole Gus Gould stuff.
yeah.
Even as fans, we're showing softness. Because guess what? The Bulldogs don't give a shit. And guess where they are? They're at the top of the table. They're not playing by the rules. They don't care. Sorry, they're playing by the rules, but they're doing it their way. They're bullying, they're pushing, they're shoving, they're yelling, they're kicking, they're screaming, they're signing, they're aggressive. And we get lip service. And guess where we're going? We're going the other way again.
Yeah, well, by Phil Gould's own admission, mate, or as I like to call him, Gil Fooled, he doesn't care about anyone or anything. He's just doing what's best for him and the club, and he doesn't care about his most closest people to him. He does not give a shit. He's just that arrogant about how things are. Maybe that's the way to be.
Hang on, Rob. He's that arrogant. Wouldn't we love that?
Oh, I don't
Because
want
guess
that.
what? I do. I want success. I want success.
I want success too, but you can go about it in many different ways. You don't have to. I would put it this way: I would never want my CEO. I wouldn't want my CEO lying through his teeth on TV saying, "I think it'd be a tragedy if the West Tigers lost player X." I don't even want to mention the guy's name anymore. But that is just like, he's just the most manipulative, and he's doing the right thing by his club. I get that, but he's just a liar. He's just a blatant liar.
All I'll say is we are soft. We are soft as a club.
Yeah, we've always been soft. We've always been soft.
Club. We are a soft club. We have no backbone. We don't stand up for each other. That's the reason I'm not at the club anymore. It's because nobody stands up for anybody. It's a soft club with no backbone, no ticker. They fold. They fight in house. The board fights. You know, people talk about each other. You know, people who can't succeed are talking about other people who can't succeed. It's pathetic, mate. It's absolutely pathetic.
I think we've got a history of that, mate. We've got a history of that. We had a CEO and chairman that wanted to go at their own fans instead of concentrating and keep their eyes on the ball. But anyway, mate, I want to touch on your thought.
You know what, Rob?
Yeah.
I agree, and I can't. You know what? You look back at it now, and Richo's done the same thing when he come in and said, "If you're not a member, you don't have a right to talk." It's the same thing, mate. You know, we need a change of everything. Like, when's the last time we've heard from Richo in all this whole controversy that's happened? When's the last time we've heard from him?
I'm gonna give Richo a pass there, mate. I accept that he's extremely silent. I said last week I need to hear from him. I said it on the Wednesday show. I think we need something said, but I'd like to think we're all intelligent enough to realise he probably can't say anything at the moment due to perhaps legal action. I know you're saying, yeah, who gives a stuff? Let's go gung ho, whatever. I think you got to be a little bit smart about it before you flap your mouth off.
I'm not saying he can say, he doesn't have to talk about Galvin, but he can talk about what we're about to do. He went on. He's
already said we're going to make signings. We're going to do this, mate. Maybe he's got nothing to say, mate. Like, I'm sick of having had past administrators talk shit. Like, when you got something to say it. When Richo's got something to say, I'm sure he'll say it. I've got no issue there. I just, selfishly, I want him to do that now. Like, I need some reassurance, because right now, as much fight as we showed the other day, given our roster, given how poor it was, I want to touch on a couple of players before we sign off. I think we're destined for the bottom three. It's just, thankfully, Newcastle seem to really, really want this wooden spoon this year, because they've literally only beaten Penrith without their origin stars and Papali'i and Garner missing, and they beat South without 9 players. They can't beat anyone unless it's a New South Wales Cup side. So I don't see where Newcastle win another game for quite a while. So maybe they'll get the spoon off us this year. But I don't see us winning many games, Adele, given the roster, unless we add to our squad prior to June 30. We clearly don't have the depth. And as disrespectful as it is, every time we name Royce Hunt in the 17, we have 16 players that need to do 17 players' work. So we're already down a man every time he's picked.
I'll agree with you on one thing in regards to that, but let's wait till June 30th. So I won't judge the club and Richo on from that perspective. Let's wait till June the 30th. But, and I'm going to give us a little bit of hope here, because I looked at this today, and I know I've been talking about the draw and how you can break it down. I am looking forward to the boys having 7 weeks. The next 7 weeks, they don't leave Sydney. And sometimes a little bit of stability can go a long way. I'm not talking about Royce Hunt. I'm talking about the squad here. I'm talking about as a whole, right? I'm looking forward to that. I hope that makes a difference for us, because we haven't had that. We haven't gone 3 weeks without traveling. So I hope that gives us a little bit of stability. The players a little bit more comfort, of a bit more routine and what they do, and there's no more travel. There is travel at the back end of the year, but let's see what this next 7 weeks looks like, including another bye, which is next week, which is weird and ridiculous. But let's see how that goes. And here's an opportunity for the players. And you know what? In the ridiculousness of this year's competition, Rob, it's so ridiculous. Can you believe we're 2 points outside the 8?
Yeah.
Like,
No, mathematically, we're still in it. There's no doubt about
crazy.
that.
All you got to do is string a couple of wins together, and all of a sudden you go 3 or 4 5 or 6 spots up the ladder again. Like, anyone's beating everybody. This is the year where you want to. This is almost working for us well. This is the type of year we're doing this stuff. We're showing a slight bit of improvement, and it's happening in a year where, the competition is just so crazy. So, I'm going to keep hope, because I'm not someone who quits. But you're right. We want to see something this next couple of weeks.
Again, Adele, I'd also want to add to that. As much as I want to see some signings join our club prior to June 30, I don't want knee-jerk signings. If there's no one there, mate, let's just not sign anyone for the sake of it and go with what we've got, and let's get some quality in the next 8 or 9 months prior to next year. And I think, look, there's not that much on the market that we can probably talk about. I mean, if he wants to pull a player from Cup that's at another club just to at least see the year out, even if they're not a great player, I can handle that, because it's only for the rest of the year. But if we're going to sign someone for 2.5 years just because we need propping up right now and he's not that good, we don't need more average players in our club. We've got plenty of them.
I agree. The only thing I'll say is everyone we signed this year has been a good signing. Besides Royce Hunt, I'll agree with that, like 100%. I actually don't think Royce Hunt will be with us for a long time. So they'll find a way. But everybody else is a good signing. Like, even Jack Bird is on peanuts. Like, that's the key. Like, everyone can look at, say, oh, Jack Bird's not. But Jack Bird's on no money. Like, there's some players you sign. If you sign someone for cheap who can do some sort of a role, it's still a good signing. Just because he doesn't look like a world beater. So there's. I think we've done some really good stuff. And I think the only one you sort of look at, you go, is probably Royce Hunt so far. He gets a chance to hopefully find some fitness at the back end of the year. I still double down on what I said previously, Rob. I think that, unless something is going on with Talon's attitude, I think I bring Talon back, even with Heath Mason on the bench, and I use Uppy as a 13 in games now, because I think that's the game's going back to that. I said to you, there's other teams are starting to do it a little bit more as well. The Bulldogs are doing it with Bailey Haywood and Kurt Mann, who are not much more bigger than Uppy. So, I think we need to start to attack the game a bit more. I think that's the way to do it.
All right. Well, look, I'll just really fast forward with this player stuff. I think you answered one of my questions there. So obviously, everyone being fit, Latu comes straight into the halves, and you want to see Heath Mason on the bench. And obviously, I'm hoping you'd want to say that Naden goes back to Canterbury.
Look, I thought Naden did okay last night. He wasn't great, but I thought he did okay. You know what? He played better than Alex Seyfarth in the back row. Let me just say that. I don't really care that I'm saying it anymore.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, as good as Heath was in attack, between Mason and Seyfarth, they missed 15 tackles between them on that right edge. So it was an area certainly targeted. Obviously, Skelton comes straight back in for Charlie Staines when the time's right.
Well, if you think about it and you go look at the difference in our team and where we've changed. The moment Skelton left our team again, mate, you look at Brian Tyler, you look at Zach Lomax in Origin the other night. It's probably one of the most important parts of the game is your yardage carries, especially with the team with the hooker we've got, with the halves we've got. We want to be on the front foot, and someone like Jarrell Skelton gets us on the front foot. So, unfortunately for Charlie Staines, yes, he misses out.
Who do we bring in for Royce Hunt? I know we're not going to make the change because we're not smart enough to do that.
Oh no, I think there's changes coming, especially if he's injured. But I think there would be changes. I've told you, I think Talon will come back in. We don't need to have a big forward pack. It's like the Bulldogs; they don't have big front rowers, so they don't. No point putting big guys on the bench for the sake of it. If you don't have big front rowers, you find a way to make your team play a different type of football. You know what we do?
Are you honestly telling me we're going to have Mason and Talon on the bench? Really?
Well, we've been having Naden and other guys. Like it doesn't. Have you seen the Bulldogs bench at times, Rob?
No, I hear you, but I just think we're undersized as it is, mate.
Yeah,
we're undersized as it is.
No. I think we're being really stubborn on this because the Bulldogs at times there was a week there they had Bailey Haywood, they had what's the other guy? Blake Taff was on their bench. This was their bench. Bailey Haywood, Blake Taff, Sam Hughes, and there was another guy who's a back rower. So it wasn't even a front rower. That was their bench, and they won that game.
That was for the Dolphins game, wasn't it? When they had Origin.
No. It wasn't that game.
Another game.
Blake Taff started that game. It was another game, but. The point being is, like, at the end of the day, what you got to do is pick your best players. Now, I did watch the Cup game on the weekend. I watched the replay of it. Look, the one that I'd love to play a lot of Cup that I think we've got to find a place for in our team is Luke Lauli. He's too good for New South Wales Cup, even at 19. But what do you do with him? Like, it's a hard one for me. You know, depending on how the season goes, Rob, I think Dewey may end up losing his spot to Lauli. Because I think Lauli can play centre. I think he's growing on them at the moment, and we need to. You know, what we're seeing is, you know, if you have a little bit more attacking shape, it's a hard one, mate. Like you want to be in there and seeing it, but I think we're going to start seeing some calculated risks. Let's call them.
Mate, we don't have reasons, or I mean, we're just obviously going to be hypothesizing here. I looked at the minutes of some of the players last night. I accept Alex Seyfarth came into the middle and Tony Sukar played on the right edge. But when I look at Alex Twal coming off after 8 minutes, Royce Hunt only getting 15, I was absolutely gobsmacked to see that Sione Fainu only had 27 minutes. Like, I'm not understanding, given the injury, giving one bloke not coming back on, how Sione only gets, again, we don't know what was going on the sidelines or whether he's being kept fresh or whatever, but given they had 75% of possession, why does Sione only have 27 minutes?
Well, why are we focusing on minutes? Like, at the end of the day, if you want to talk management of the interchange is about what ends up happening at the back end of the game. So the back end of the game was really good from our end. So technically, if you want to go down that path, well, the interchange and the minutes were correct. Benji was coaching to the game, and to the game we got it right because we scored 22 points in the last 18 minutes. So I don't think you can really talk about the interchange and the minutes everybody played because realistically it was how they worked the interchange and where we ended up and they got back into the game. We scored 22 points. So I don't think that's an argument.
Yeah, I know, but hey, look, you're right. But you got three forwards. I granted one was out with a head bin and we don't know what was wrong with Hunt, but you got three props, mate, that have played 50 minutes between them. And then you got Terrell May doing 70 something every week.
I think I've told you this before. In the Harvey Norman Grand Final in 2022, I know it's girls, but it's rugby league, and it's the same thing. People have 4 people on the bench. One girl played 11 minutes. One girl played, I think, this was our bench. One girl played 11 minutes. One girl played 37 minutes. One girl played 5 minutes. One girl played 2 minutes. You know why? Because you play what you need. And the game, like, like it's. I had Christian Pierre was my starting front row. She was my Terrell May. I said to her before the game, if you can play a full game, you're not coming off, because her at 80% was better. And I don't mean this with disrespect. Her at 70% of her energy was still better than our bench player. And that's not disrespectful. That's not talking bad about the player on the bench. That was talking about how good Christian was. So that's the best way I can explain it to you.
Well, anyway, mate, Terrell May's happy to be flogged. I get sick of watching his minutes being so lopsided. He should be, on the highest money that anyone gets in the game.
Has my camera gone, Rob?
Yeah, your camera's gone, mate. But that's all right. We're just about to wrap it up, mate. Have you got anything else to say before we say good night?
No. I've just, we play Penrith next week. I'm glad they won today, because usually we get the back end. Hopefully we can pull out a performance next week.
Mate, you're forever the optimist. Like, you need to send me some of that down from Queensland, mate. I'll be watching, I'll be cheering, but my hope is pretty much dried up for the moment, mate. Like I said, unless we get some new blood injected into the team. I know it was a great finish to the game, but like you said, we seem to play our natural style of footy when it's all too late, and we don't see it. We don't see it when we need it and get on the front foot. But, mate, thanks again for joining us. To everyone out there, we'll be at the Orange Grove again this Wednesday to talk a little bit more about this and our upcoming game against Penrith. And all things being well, he's a man of his word. I will confirm with him again on Tuesday, but Michael Shamus has promised to make a video appearance on Wednesday night. So I hope you look forward to joining us. We won't be talking about our former 5'8", I can promise you that much. We'll be talking all other things West Tigers with him. Thanks again, and we'll see you on Wednesday night.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the West Tigers Life podcast. You can join us every Wednesday night live at 8:30 p.m. from the Orange Grove Hotel. A big thank you to Orange Grove Hotel for their support, as well as iChoice Home Loans. If you want to hear more from the West Tigers Life podcast, go to westtigers.com.au. That'll be our link tree, and you'll find links to all our social media, and you can sign up at our Patreon at patreon.com/WestLife. Join us next time on West Tigers Life.